Reg Holloway's fumble accounted for the winning touchdown. But then the Argos marched all the way down the field, only to have Hank Olisic miss a last play field goal that would have tied the game for the boatmen. Tonight, they are facing an Eskimo team fresh from a big win over Ottawa, in which quarterback Matt Dunnigan ran for 2 touchdowns and clinched the win early with a 61-yard touchdown pass to Chris Woods that made the score 28-14. This important return match is the Friday night presentation on CTV. Live from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, the Edmonton Eskimos versus the Toronto Argonauts. Despite warm temperatures, it's going to be fairly comfortable on the field because the sun has gone down behind the stands and it's all in shade. Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Stevenson. There's a fair amount of heat on the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, Bob Abilovich, because this is the 6th consecutive game that he's made player changes, doing it again with 5 changes for this game. In contrast, Jackie Parker's Edmonton Eskimos have had relatively few, only 1 real change since the season started. And so you have to give the edge, at least for consistency, to the Eskimos. And Parker feels they're at the top of their game right now. Now to take a closer look at these two clubs, it's upstairs to Pat Marsden and Lee Pedersen.
Thank you, Bill. Hello again, everybody. Well, as Bill has suggested, this is a very important contest for both these clubs. Winnipeg is currently tied with Edmonton for a second spot in that Western Conference, both at 3-2, and the Argos have to win this one to get back to 500. But, Leaf, I'm wondering this. You're a player in this CFL many years ago. What would your thoughts be tonight if you had lost that last second game in Edmonton?
Oh, Pat, if I'd have been a Toronto Argonaut, I'd have been counting the days till this rematch tonight because I'd have felt they stole the game from us, and I couldn't wait for a chance to show the Edmonton Eskimos that we were a better football team. But if I was an Edmonton player, I'd be saying, hey, it's a great chance for us to show Toronto that was no fluke, and we'll beat them tonight.
Well, the Argos have a number of changes once again. Let's talk about them.
Well, Bill Mitchell, the middle linebacker all season, has moved to the outside. Ralph Sazio felt that they weren't getting the production at the middle linebacking spot, and he's a better outside man. They were lucky to get James Reed from Saskatchewan. He's going to do a good job in the middle. Clyde Glover, the young defensive tackle, well, he just didn't pan out. And Mark Seal from the Ottawa Rough Riders were started that defensive tackle spot tonight.
Well, I think the Argos will play well. There's no question about that defensively. The question is, are they going to be able to score any points? Mark Cassell is the man on the spot because he's their new quarterback.
This CFL telecast is brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, to patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Our referee tonight is Ross Perrier, and along with his crew, they will be handling this game, they hope, in extremely fine fashion. Ross has been a referee in the Toronto area, working in the minors and now in the pros for a good many years. This is a game, gentlemen, in which the head coach for the Toronto Argonauts, Bob Abilovich, said it's vital for him for the simple reason, he said, I map out before the year 1 point, and that is we must at least split with every team. We cannot afford to lose twice to the same club. So that makes this a must. All right, Pat, take it away.
Well, thank you, Bill. There's not a large crowd here in Toronto because it seems that most of this area is swept up with the success of the Toronto Blue Jays. But, boy, what a night for a football game. It's warm, there's no question about that, but I'm sure the temperature will drop. It's in the high 80s right now, but the sun is beginning to set. And, of course, we're located here on the banks of Lake Ontario. Edmonton has won 6 of the last 10 games against the Toronto Argonauts. The question is, can they make it 7 of 11? If they can, they will take over sole possession of second spot in the Western Football Conference. If the Argos can bounce back, well, then, of course, they will even up their season record of 3 wins and 3 losses. Chris Skinner, number 35, has dropped back to join number 74, Chris Woods, who's averaging 27 yards a return, back on the Edmonton goal line to receive the kickoff from Hank Olisic.
Well, Chris Skinner is the one that you want to return it. If you're Hank Olisic, I'm sure you're going to see him kick it to Chris.
Chris Skinner from Bishop's University in Lennoxville, Quebec, as Hank Olisic does in fact kick it his way. Skinner from the 4-yard line. Excellent coverage by that Toronto Argonaut special team unit. Contains him to the 20-yard line. So very quickly, let's set up that Edmonton Eskimo offensive alignment for you. It'll be the sophomore Matt Dunnigan at quarterback. Larry Cowan, who was their leading rusher last year, joins Milson Jones, number 34, the ex-Winnipeg Blue Bomber. And the receiving corps has been really bolstered by the addition of Rick House.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that really could make that whole group go. You know what Chris Woods and Brian Kelly can do, but I think Rick House has been a great performer in his CFL career.
Eskimos start from their 20-yard line, and Dunnigan is going to put it up right away and finds Brian Kelly out at the 37-yard line. Hit immediately by Bo Metcalf, but it was just pitch and catch. Dunnigan to Kelly, a gain of 17 yards.
You know, it's funny, I talked to Brian Kelly before the game. I said, what kind of defense are you expecting tonight? And he said, a lot of zone coverage. And here's what he found in the very first play. He found a hole perfectly. Good strike by Dunnigan. That's a nice way to start the ball game.
Well, Dunnigan has really blossomed. When you consider that this man is just playing his second year of professional football, he comes into this ball game with a 61% completion average. Really is the leader of that offensive unit, as he must be. The pass is knocked away neatly by Dennis Clay, number 14.
Well, who really did the job was number 33, Rick House, to make sure Dennis Clay didn't pick that ball off. Not a good throw by Matt Dunnigan, really off balance when he let it fly, but Dennis Clay could not come up with the interception.
There's a look at the offensive line for the Edmonton Eskimos, and of course it's a veteran one. 6.5 years average, and are they a big squad? 6'5", 260 is what they average. There's the Toronto defensive line, and you'll notice that Mark Seal wears number 76 in this, his first game for the Argos. Dunnigan's pass caught by Chris Woods. That's it. Nobody will catch this man. Touchdown, Eskimos. Chris Woods goes 73 yards on a perfect strike from quarterback Matt Dunnigan.
This guy's exciting. Got the great speed, big average. They caught Toronto once again in the zone. The 2 inside guys clear out. Chris Woods runs an in pattern underneath them, and a little mix-up on the tackling. 73 yards later, the Edmonton Eskimos jump out to an early lead.
With the point after to come. Well, that's not a bad way to start a football game. Chris Woods, reputed by some to be the fastest man in the CFL. I don't know anybody who could beat him. I know that Derek Zeno did catch him on a return one time in Ottawa, but I suspect Zeno might have had the angle on him, and that was why he was able to cut him off. So the Edmonton Eskimos have jumped out in front 7-0 as we take one more look at it.
Well, this is a good pattern against the zone. The inside guy, as I mentioned, clears out Marco Sincar. Chris Woods comes underneath him. That's a great throw, great catch. What a way to start the ball game.
And the Argos are going to have the ball when we come back. Right now, it's the Eskimos 7. Argos have yet to touch the football. The Eskimos, led by quarterback Matt Dunnigan, struck on their first offensive series, and there you see it. Just 3 plays it took them. Dixon's kickoff is angled toward the sideline, and it will go out of bounds, so the Argos will have the Eskimos do it all over again. You know, I was saying that Matt Dunnigan is a sophomore, and for practical purposes he is. But we should not forget that Matt Dunnigan was with the Eskimos Warren Moon's final year, and only played a little bit. He certainly had to learn some things as you see him being crunched by James Curry on that touchdown pass. But Chris Woods, I mean, has such blinding speed that once he gets into the clear, nobody is going to catch him. And the ball was right on the money. Chris Woods was into the end zone before the Argos knew what had hit them.
Not bad, 1 minute and 27 seconds, and you've got a 7-0 lead.
But, of course, the question is, are the Argos going to be able to move the football? Since they've lost Conrad Holloway, they have really had a problem. Dixon's kickoff will be handled by Kerry Taylor at his 10-yard line. And this is an impressive newcomer to the Toronto outfit. He's wrapped up by Chris Skinner as he gets to the 30, but you'll hear a lot of Kerry Taylor tonight and throughout the rest of this season. There's the way they line up. Mark Cassell is the quarterback. Now, this will be his third game of actual action. He started last game. Taylor and Brock will be at the running back spots, and there are your receivers. Jan Carinci starts in the slot tonight, and the newcomer, Thad Jemison. Jemison has played previously, but he was not in the lineup last week against BC. Argos from their 32-yard line. Cassell to Terry Greer. Boy, these guys are starting off just as the Eskimos did. Cliff Toney and Darrell Hall were there to bring him down, numbers 6 and 24 respectively. It's a 19-yard pickup for the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League as it comes to yardage, Terry Greer.
Little post pattern underneath the cornerback, Darrell Hall, and Mark Cassell will definitely go to Terry Greer a lot. He had a big game against Edmonton in the opener.
First down, Argos at their 51-yard line. Cassell dumps it off to Bob Brock. Lots of room for the big fullback. And then he tripped himself up as he crossed the Edmonton 45 and fell to the 42. Danny Bass covered him at that point. But a good play by Cassell, who was getting some heat. He just dumped it off to the fullback.
Sure was, because he wanted to go back to Terry Greer again, but Edmonton had him double covered. You've got to go to your secondary receiver. He did that perfectly and found Bob Brock for another good game.
15 yards, as a matter of fact. So the Argos are in Edmonton territory at the Eskimo 44-yard line. Brock, the fullback, on the draw. He'll have another Toronto first down to the 30 before Laurent Delorier, number 15, was there to upend him. But the pickup is 13, and as impressive as the Eskimos were in their start, the Argos are answering them.
Well, there's one guy that they're happy to have back right there, number 69, Dan Ferroni, at that offensive guard spot. He's missed the ball game, and he really solidifies that all-Canadian offensive line.
First down, Toronto at the Edmonton 30-yard line. The toss goes to Kerry Taylor. Taylor gets to the 25, so he'll pick up 5 yards before John Mandarich from Kent State, and a local boy in the Toronto area from Oakville was there to bring him down, number 75, with help from Danny Bass, number 30.
Boy, I sure like the play selection on this drive by the Toronto Argonauts. Bob Abilovich sending in all the plays from the sideline, signaling quarterback Mark Cassell, but really kept the Edmonton defense off balance.
Pickup was 5. It is 2nd and 5. Toronto at the Edmonton 25-yard line. Cassell complete to Kerry Taylor. They have the first down inside the Eskimo 15-yard line. Stuart Hill, number 36, was first there to bring him down, but the pickup is 11 yards. John Daly, number 44, was there as well.
Well, like the Toronto Argonauts, Edmonton plays a lot of zone coverage, and that time Kerry Taylor out of the backfield just slipped underneath the linebackers. Mark Cassell, another good read.
Now Cassell has not missed on a pass tonight as he hands out to Bob Brock. And the big fullback is inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line before Danny Bass finally rides him down, but he'll have a pickup of about 6 yards.
Brent Murphy, newcomer to the Edmonton lineup this year at that defensive end, did not play any college football, tried out with the San Francisco 49ers initially, came to the Edmonton team as a free agent. He's a bodybuilder. He's a big kid, good linebacking core. Stuart Hill, you know all about him.
2nd and 4. Toronto inside the Edmonton 10. Cassell's pass is caught by Pearson. Touchdown, Toronto. What a drive by the Toronto Argonauts as Mark Cassell finishes it off with a touchdown strike to Paul Pearson.
Well, what the run and shoot offense really tries to do is get the matchups that are desirable for the offense. That time it was Paul Pearson on the linebacker, number 44, John Daly. Pearson simply outruns him to the corner of the end zone, and they're 1 point away from tying this ball game up.
Boy, what a start. Both clubs have had possession one time. Both have gone the distance for the major scores. And so, with 9 minutes and 59 seconds left to play, it's all tied up. Let's look at that touchdown again, Lee.
Well, this is starting out like the first game of the season back at Edmonton. A lot of offense and a lot of great entertainment.
We'll be back with the Toronto kickoff. It's all tied up. The Eskimos 7, the Argonauts 7. Eskimos marched all the way for a major score on their first possession. The Argonauts come right back, 78 yards in 7 plays. Took them a little longer. Only took the Edmonton Eskimos 3 plays. But there's Paul Pearson, a good friend of yours and mine. How's he feeling physically? Because I know you were talking to him just before the game.
Oh, we had a nice chat, and Paul's hamstrings are finally 100%. He said, if there's a ball I have to really extend myself for, I'm going to be able to go and get it. So that's good news for the Argonauts.
Olysic's kickoff goes to Skinner, 2 yards deep in the end zone. And again, excellent coverage by that special team of the Toronto Argonauts. They contain him inside the 20-yard line. Walter Ballard, number 79, was first downfield. Let's take a look at that linebacking core, because this is where all the switches have come for the Argos.
You know, it's interesting. Bob Abilovich in the press conference said yesterday that he felt James Reed would really be a great addition because he's finally back to being a middle linebacker in a 4-3 style defense. In Saskatchewan, he was in a 3-4 defense, and it's not the same. He's a true middle linebacker. We're going to watch him closely tonight, see how he does.
Well, let's keep an eye on Matt Dunnigan right now, number 16, the quarterback of the Eskimos, as he starts from the 17. The handoff is to Cowan, but there is absolutely no hole there as the Argos just shut it down. James Curry, number 74, was there to make the stop.
Pat, it's interesting that this Edmonton club is leading the league as far as rushing is concerned. They were looked upon strictly as a passing team, but running has been one of their fortes, and we thought they'd come out running because BC Lions destroyed the Argos in their last outing with the running game. And it looked like the Argo defense might have trouble with that run.
Well, on second down, they've got a pass now, and Dunnigan does not get it away. He ducked underneath the initial tackle of Rodney Harding, but then ran right into the arms of James Curry. And the Eskimos will be punting for the first time of the ball game, and the Argos are going to get possession in pretty good shape.
You know, Pat, you can really see the defense being a lot more aggressive on this second series, Edmonton on offense. I think that seeing the offense come back and tie this game up has given them a real lift, and that time James Curry and the rest of the defensive line did an excellent job getting the pressure.
Got an injured Edmonton Eskimo down on the field. Not seriously injured. It's Leo Blanchard. He could be winded. It's a very hot, humid night here in Toronto. And so I suspect we'll see a lot of this.
One of the key moves that was made by the Argos offensively, and as we said at the start of the show, the 6th consecutive game in which head coach Bob Abilovich has made player changes in that roster, was Taylor going to the running back slot from the slot back. And he said he can do a lot more things, he felt, than Lester Brown. That's why he released Brown. And I just find out today that Lester Brown's being picked up by the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Boy, I want to see him do a lot more things than Lester Brown could, because I was a big fan of his. Thought he was a great running back, and obviously Bob Abilovich thinks Kerry Taylor's better, but I think that really remains to be seen.
Looks like the Argos are going to go after this punt by Tom Dixon, but he gets it away. Kerry Taylor takes it at the Toronto 54, and already he's in Edmonton territory and down to the 41-yard line. Well, for one thing, Kerry Taylor can return punts, and Lester Brown didn't do that. Just want to remind everybody that tomorrow CTV will be in Saskatchewan as the Rough Riders play host to the new-look Hamilton Tiger Cats. Boy, we were impressed with them in Montreal last week, and then we'll be in Calgary on Sunday to bring you the Montreal Concords against the Calgary Stampeders, and that will start at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. The game out of Saskatchewan tomorrow night will begin at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. DeSalle's pass is caught by Bronk. And the big guy has another Toronto first down to the Edmonton 26-yard line before he's forced out by Danny Bass and John Mandarich. A pickup of 14 yards, and the Eskimos have not been able to solve the riddle of the Toronto Argonaut offense. The Argos have just moved the ball at will.
That's a good call on first down. You get that pass rush coming upfield, dump it off to Bronk, and I've been really impressed with this play selection so far in the first quarter by the Argonauts.
First down at the Edmonton 26. The toss goes to Kerry Taylor. And Taylor gets inside the 25 to about the 23-yard line before he's ridden down by Cliff Toney and Stuart Hill.
Edmonton making a switch now when they get a second and long situation against the Argonauts. Bring out number 37, Dave McNeil, the linebacker, and insert number 2, Jeff Treflin, into that defensive secondary.
So the pickup was 3 yards. It is 2nd and 7, Argos. Again, they run the draw to Bob Bronk. But he's brought down well short of the first down by Tom Tuinei.
That's a great read by Tom Tuinei. He saw it all the way, really wasn't blocked too hard, and came off, made a nice play. Force Argonauts to attempt the field goal.
That draw is the play that the BC Lions really killed the Argos with in their last game, too, so maybe they're trying to see if they can use it the same way.
Didn't work as effectively for them on that occasion as BC used it with Kevan Jenkins. But now this is Lance Chomick, number 4. His field goal try is good. Hank Olisic, of course, has given way to Lance Chomick in the field goal kicking department, and Chomick completes his 5th in 9 tries since joining the club last game.
I talked to Lance before the game. He wanted to say hello to his parents who are in Edmonton. You know that the Argos have 2 Edmonton kickers. Lance is an Edmonton boy, learned his kicking there. Of course, Hank Olisic is too. But Lance was saying after the first game on television, his father phoned him and said, well, congratulations. He said, the TV broadcasters got your name half right anyway. And you're right, Pat, it is Chomick.
Thank you, Bill. As the Argos go into the lead 10-7, the Eskimos begin from their 35-yard line. This one is picked off by Carl Braisley. You can forget it. Touchdown, Toronto. 41-yard pass interception by Carl Braisley. Oh, he played that perfectly.
Oh, he sure did. There's Conrad Holloway on the sidelines offering his congratulations, but you know what so often happens when you want to try and reestablish some momentum, go to that short pass, and Carl Braisley, such a veteran quarterback, he read it all the way, stepped in front of Brian Kelly, and oh, what a big play that is for the Toronto Argonauts. Hey, that's experience, Pat, that makes those interceptions. Young guys lay off, the veterans play it tight.
The point after by Chomick is good. The Argos, surprising to many, I'm sure, are out in front of the Edmonton Eskimos 17-7. Let's look at that pass interception by Carl Braisley one more time.
If you want to see a pretty play, have a look at this, because Carl Braisley uses all his experience and timing to come up with the interception. Dunnigan kind of wobbled the ball a little bit, and that allowed Braisley to step in front and do his thing.
And nobody was going to catch him. The Argos will be ready to kick it off when we come back. They lead it 17-7. He's from Bishop's University in Lennoxville, Quebec. Back with him is number 74, Chris Woods. He's from Auburn University in Alabama. And kicking it off is Hank Olisic. He's out of high school in Edmonton, Alberta. So you talk about Canadian football, that's what you have. Chris Woods allows it to bounce in the end zone, picks it up, and he'll concede the single point. So the Argos go out in front by 11.
Hey, I'll give Hank Olisic a lot of credit on that one. At the last second, Chris Woods and Chris Skinner tried to switch positions, so Hank would kick it, of course, to Chris Woods. He saw it as he approached the football and made a little switch, and they get a single point. Once again, another look at Carl Braisley, and that is perfect timing, and 41 yards later, Carl's got a touchdown.
Carl's had a great year, as you know, Leith and Pat, and especially that opening game against Edmonton. Obilovich extremely high on his work this year.
That, incidentally, was his 4th interception of the season as Matt Dunnigan goes back to work. And he's not afraid. He goes right back to Brian Kelly. But they rule that he was out of bounds.
Had that ball not been thrown high and away as it was, Carl Braisley might have had number 2. There you see Matt Dunnigan checking his wrist, keeps all the plays that he uses on a little short list for certain situations on his wrist, and referring to it now on 2nd and 10.
And Carl Braisley has got to be pleased at the start that he's had to this ball game, but it's a long way from being over. 18-7. We've played only 9 minutes of this first quarter. Dunnigan's pass is picked out by the Argos. Darrell Wilson, number 13. And Braisley threw the block that enabled him to get to the 30-yard line.
But he fumbled it.
Well, the Eskimos get a bit of a break there because on the return, Darrell Wilson coughed up the football.
Well, let's have a look. Looking Rick House. It goes right through his hands, and Darrell Wilson's Johnny on the spot with the interception. Let's see how that ball comes loose on the return. Yeah, stripped.
And so
Rod Conop stripped that ball loose, and the Edmonton Eskimos make the recovery.
And it doesn't cost the Eskimos anything because they start back at their 35 again. On the draw, Nelson Jones was tripped up by Walter Ballard initially, number 79. There is a marker on the field.
And that's what they're going to call, I'm sure, Walter Ballard for tripping. You don't see this call too often, but as he was lying on the ground, Nelson Jones over top, and he stuck his leg out and tripped him.
And we're not going to see it called here either because it's holding against the Eskimos.
Oh, really?
Holding. Edmonton, number 63. Decline, second down.
I can't believe it. They could call both.
Heck Poitier, number 63, was called for holding, and there's no question that Ballard did trip him.
Fooled me again.
So because they lost a yard on the play, the Argos decline the penalty, make it 2nd and 11 Eskimos. Dunnigan's pass is caught by Marco Sinkar about a yard short of the first down. Darrell Wilson, number 13, was providing the defensive coverage. That's only the 8th pass reception of the year for Marco Sinkar, but it's an important one because now the Eskimos, were they so inclined, could gamble, but they're going to punt it away.
And you see the look of frustration on Marco's face there as he comes off the field. He knows he should have gone another couple of yards to pick up that first down. That reception means nothing because they got to kick the football away.
All right, now you were a receiver. Let me ask you this. Do you think maybe he forgot that it was 2nd and 11 as opposed to 2nd and 10?
You don't forget. Every time, I tell you what, here's what I did when I was a player. When I'd go in the huddle, I'd be saying to myself, it's either 1st and 10, 1st and 5, 2nd and 15. I'd know the situation before the play was even called, so that wouldn't happen.
Dixon's punt. An end-over-end job that bounces to Jan Carinci. And Carinci fights his way over the 25 to the 27-yard line before John Daly was there, number 44, to bring him down.
Leaf, we always used to say when you were playing how unusual you were.
Well, should the single point awarded for a missed field goal be eliminated? Yes, said 64% of our callers a week ago. No, 36%. Now, this week's poll, should the CFL team rosters increase the number of Canadians? If you want to vote yes, you dial 1-900-720-3720. If you don't think they should increase the number of Canadians, vote no. 1-900-720-4720. There is a 50-cent service charge.
Were you surprised by the opinion poll last week? The elimination of the single point?
I forget if I was surprised or not. Was I?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I wasn't surprised at all.
No, I wasn't either.
I think most people would like to see
How
the
do you
single
feel-
point eliminated.
How do you feel about the Canadians?
No, I like the way the roster is made up right now.
Well, I personally think they need a bigger roster. And
I
I'd like
agree
to
with
see
you,
them
Bill.
go to Canadians, frankly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just a financial problem with a lot of teams adding a few players to the roster.
I know, but the question is, should they add more Canadians to the roster? Do we keep the roster the same size and eliminate some imports and add Canadians, or do we increase the roster size by adding Canadians?
I'm assuming they mean
I would
increase
assume
the
the
roster.
latter. I would assume increase the roster size with extra Canadians.
So the Argos start from their 27-yard line with an 11-point lead here late in the first quarter. The pass is complete to Jan Carinci, and he has a first down as he gets to the 40-yard line. Cliff Toney, number 6, was there to bring him down. The pickup is 12. It's going to be interesting to see the passing statistics for Mark Cassell. He is 6 for 6 at this moment, 79 yards and 1 touchdown.
And you know what they've all been is nice, safe passes. You keep drives going. Here, just out in the flat to Jan Carinci, only a 5-yard pass, but he turns it into a first down.
Cassell complete to Kerry Taylor. And Taylor spins his way for about 6 or 7 yards before he runs into the arms of the cornerback on that side, number 5, Mark Jackson. Dan Bass was there to help out as well.
Let's have a look at Kerry Taylor. All he does is work it upfield, let some of the other receivers clear out and come underneath the linebackers, and that's a good call on first down. He's got 8 yards.
Nice little pick there by Jan Carinci on the defensive back, who was hoping to cover.
That wasn't a pick, was it? They don't do that.
So the pickup was 7 yards. It is 2nd and 3. And the pass is complete for another first down to Thad Jemison. Jemison, a rookie from Ohio State, makes his 6th reception of the year. He's been on and off the roster all season long.
Well, he's a guy that Bob Abilovich feels could really add a dimension to their ball club. He's got outstanding deep speed. They just quite simply haven't got the ball enough to him in the games he's played in. Maybe tonight he'll catch a few more balls.
Picked up a first down with that 12-yard catch. Casal to Carinci, and the ball was just a little bit behind him, and Carinci was not able to make the catch. That's the first incompletion by Mark Casal, who is now 8 for 9 for 98 yards.
Leif, I'd like to ask you about Carinci. As a player, what you think of the way he has been moved around, but more important, the way he keeps performing from a safety to a running back to a slot back. He does them all.
Well, he must be a certain kind of guy to put up with all that stuff, because being transformed from defense to offense is not the easiest thing, and I think his personality must be just that lends itself to that kind of play.
There's a flag down as the pass was caught by Kerry Taylor.
Jan Carinci must be able to go with the flow after being removed around like that so often.
Penalty is against the Argonauts, and here's referee Ross Perrier with the call.
Holding, Toronto number 66.
The call is against Kelvin Prunster, the left offensive tackle. You know, there are, I'm sure as a fan listening at home, there are a number of ways to pronounce various people's names. You've got Carinci. Is it Carinci or Carinci? He pronounces it Carinci, but he really doesn't care what you call him. It's like Louis Pasaglia and Pasaglia. Carinci makes the catch there, but he will not have enough for the first down, as Delorier, number 15, and Bell, 17, converge on him at the, well, let's see where they spot it, at the 47-yard line. Also Dan Ferroni, who pronounces his name Ferroni, but many people call him Ferrone. With the ball at the 47-yard line, Lance Chomick is going to try a 54-yard field goal.
Well, he's got the leg to do it. We watched him in the warm-up, and he can get it down that far. Not this one, though.
This one rolls into the end zone, and the Eskimos are content to concede the single point. Laurent Delorier went down on one knee, and the Argos lead is now 12 points with 1:25 left to play here in the opening quarter. The Eskimos will have a break after this contest. They don't play for about 13 games. Their next home game is against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Friday, August the 23rd. And we'll have it for you here on Friday Night Football on CTV, starting at 7:30 Edmonton time.
Boy, when I played for Saskatchewan, what a rivalry that was. In the mid-70s, Ron Lancaster against Tom Wilkinson, George Reed against Jim Germany. Oh, boy.
From the 47-yard line, Matt Dunnigan swings it out to Milson Jones. And Jones did an excellent job as he gets to the 53-yard line. He picks up 6, but for a moment, it appeared as though he was going to be nailed back of the line of scrimmage. Dennis Clay finally made the tackle along with Rodney Harding, number 77. Harding is a newcomer to that Toronto Argonaut defensive alignment. He's their left defensive end.
Leif, you were talking about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the rivalry with Edmonton. We were talking the other day, and Jackie Parker was saying, doesn't matter where you go, but when Saskatchewan's playing, suddenly areas that used to be the fans for Edmonton or Toronto or Ottawa, they turn into Saskatchewan fans. There are more Saskatchewan people around the CFL that turn out to cheer the Riders when they're in town than any other team that there is in this league.
Boy, that's for sure, Bill. When I played in Saskatchewan for 4 years, every city we'd go to, I couldn't believe when we go out in the warm-up and look up in the stands, there'd always be a group of Saskatchewan fans wherever we were, and it's unbelievable.
Well, they're great football fans. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you're from Saskatchewan, you've been brought up with the Rough Riders, and if you happen to leave Regina, you'll move, you'll go when they're in town. There's a look at the Eastern Conference standings. You see how important this game is to the Argos. They could move into a tie for first place with Montreal, pending the outcome of the Concords game against the Stampeders in Calgary on Sunday. And in the West, well, the BC Lions, head coach Don Matthews, general manager Bobby Ackles have to be delighted at the way their team is performing. 5-0, but this is a big game for the Eskimos because they are currently tied with Winnipeg for second spot. And a big game tomorrow night in Regina, where the Saskatchewan Roughriders host Hamilton. Neil Lumsden just bowls his way down to the Toronto 45-yard line. He has another Eskimo first down, and that comes with just 40 seconds left to play in this first quarter. It's been a dandy. The Argos have been really, really sharp after the Eskimos took the opening offensive drive and scored the touchdown on the pass from Matt Dunnigan to Chris Woods. Bob Obilovich, well, he's under a little bit of heat, but I'll tell you, this man knows the CFL. And by the time this season is over, I suspect the Argos will be very close to the top. Again, Lumsden, the ball carrier, to the 41-yard line for a pickup of 4 before he runs into Walter Ballard, number 79.
Well, it's not surprising that Edmonton would try and get that rushing game going. They lead the CFL with over 800 yards rushing so far this season. In fact, lead the entire CFL in total offense. But they've got that big veteran offensive line and some good running backs in Larry Cowan, Neil Lumsden, and Milson Jones. So why not try and establish that running game?
And second down and 6. With the ball up to 41, Dunnigan is going to put it up. Does. And Cowan is hit the moment that he got the ball by Bo Metcalf at the 35-yard line. And he'll be very close to the first down as the gun sounds to end the first quarter of play. The Toronto Argonauts lead the Edmonton Eskimos 19-7. We'll return with the second quarter in a moment. The play with a first down at the Argo 35. The pass into the middle to Milson Jones. Don Moan, Walter Ballard, and a host of Argos were there to bring him down at the 32-yard line. Let's take a look at the Chevrolet first quarter statistics, and you can see what an offensive ball game this has been. 141 yards for the Argos, 131 for the Eskimos. Argos out in front 19-7. Matt Dunnigan, who broke the Louisiana Tech passing record of Terry Bradshaw, at the controls for the Edmonton Eskimos on 2nd and 4. Toss goes to Cowan. And boy, was there some contact there. Walter Ballard, Don Moan, they were there to drill him before he could get to the first down marker. He's about a yard and a half short.
Rick House has just gone back in the lineup, as you noticed, Pat. The reason he was out for the sequence of plays previous was the fact he took a finger in the eye, but it's all right now.
Well, the Eskimos initially sent Tom Dixon out onto the field, but they've decided against the field goal, and they're going to go for it. They've got a yard and a half to go for the first down.
Boy, it's a big gamble here.
That's Parker-style football. He played that way.
Reckless.
Dunnigan takes it himself, and he has the first down for the Eskimos. You know, that's what the coaching staff loves about Matt Dunnigan, though. They say he's such a competitor. You know, he's a tough guy. When you look at him, he looks like an altar boy. But apparently, he's really got the kind of stuff you need to be a leader on a football team.
Well, and each week, he's really becoming more accustomed to the Canadian game. He's good on the rollouts, either throwing or running with the football, and he really gives the Eskimos that added dimension of a versatile quarterback.
4th leading rusher in the Canadian Football League coming into this ball game. Just having a terrific year. He's 2nd leading passer in the CFL. And this time the pass is caught by Chris Woods at the 11-yard line. It'll be another first down for the Eskimos. Bo Metcalf knocked him out of bounds, but the gain is 12 yards.
You were talking, Leaf, about Matt Dunnigan. He says that he feels more comfortable now, more confident in everything he's doing because of experience.
Well, it is experience. You get to read defenses for a couple of years. You kind of know what they're going to do and what you can anticipate of doing against them. And he's done that very well this year so far.
This has been another nice-looking drive that he has engineered. First down, Eskimos at the Toronto 11. Nice bootleg by Dunnigan. He should be able to get in there. Touchdown, Edmonton. Just as he crossed the line, the ball came out of his hands, but there was no doubt about it. He was in the end zone.
a great play this is. They fake on the slot back trap play, and Dunnigan's all alone, gets a bit of a block from Brian Kelly down here and Milson Jones, and squirts his way into the end zone.
And we've got an injured Toronto Argonaut. I believe it's Don Moan, number 36, is it? Yes, it is. He's kneeling down at the Toronto goal area.
But you know, they had Toronto coming on a total blitz there, and when they faked inside, it just seemed to freeze everybody. And of course, when Matt Dunnigan rolled to the outside, he had so much open room, and except for the last few yards, pretty easy waltz into the end zone.
Nice looking drive engineered by Matt Dunnigan. How about his statistics to this point, Bob Layden? He's 6 for 10, 125 yards. Had a couple of interceptions, however. One didn't hurt him. The other one killed him because Carl Brazeley returned it for a touchdown. But Darrell Wilson intercepted and then fumbled the ball right at the point where Dunnigan had begun the play. So Tom Dixon will try to cut the Argonaut margin to 5 points. And he does. So we've got a 19-14 ball game, and let's take a look at Matt Dunnigan, who to me is the biggest news the Eskimos have been able to recruit in the last number of years. That's the score. We'll be back in a moment. Dunnigan making an impression on the Canadian Football League in this his second full year of activity.
And I suspect he's getting some congratulations on the phone right now from Steve Goldman, who is the offensive coordinator up in the press box. And sure, he said, nice going, Matt. You put a heck of a drive together.
Well, if he hasn't attained the status yet, to me, he's the next superstar in the Canadian Football League. You're looking at a fellow who will win some Shenley Awards down the line. Jemison with the return for Toronto started at his 2-yard line and ran into Larry Ruck, who did a good job to bring him down just as he crossed the 20.
Well, that's not surprising. We're seeing a good offensive display by both teams in the opener. They had over 1,000 yards total offense between them. They could sure move the football in a hurry.
Well, you know, a lot of people said, oh, the Eskimos are just going to clean up on them here tonight.
Yeah, I heard that around town.
And they may well do before the game is over, but it's been a great one to this point.
I like him about that because of the lacing they took at the hands of BC and all the changes they've made, the inconsistency.
Cassell threw it right into Stuart Hill's hands. And but for the fact that he was tripped up as he got to about the 5-yard line, he'd have gone into the end zone. Cassell threw it right into Stu Hill's hands, and he marches it all the way down to the Toronto 6.
Well, he just simply looking for Bob Brock, doesn't see Stuart Hill, although he's right in front of him. And had it not been for the little turf monster that comes up and grabs him right there, Stuart Hill would have scored.
I think that's what you call tunnel vision. He was so intent on looking at Bob Brock.
That's a very good description of what happened.
So now the Eskimos are in position to take the lead. They trail by 5 points, 19-14, and we have just begun play here in the second quarter. But it's first down, Edmonton touchdown to go at the Toronto 6-yard line. Neil Lumsden, the ball carrier. Gets a couple of yards. Mark Seal, James Curry, James Reed, they were all in there to bring him down.
It's a situation now where the Toronto defense is really guessing because Matt Dunnigan can do so many things. He can hand off to the running back throw, or, you know, he's so good on that bootleg action. Defensively, it's a tough position to be in right now.
You know, Matt Dunnigan to me is reminiscent a little bit of Russ Jackson, who would always bootleg in this situation. Although on this occasion he gives it to Neil Lumsden for the touchdown. But what I was going to say is that Jackson would bootleg and score on every play, and I'm not sure that Dunnigan couldn't do the same himself. But why not go the easy way, hand it to the big fullback, and Lumsden, who has done this so often over the years, just won't be denied that end zone.
Yeah, nice hole created on that left side, and of course Neil Lumsden knows what to do with the football when he's only 2 yards away from a touchdown.
There's Jackie Parker. When you ask him, you say, what's been the big improvement with your club this year? He says, offensive line, if they ever played well.
Well, they're a veteran group. Bill Stevenson, 12 years. A lot of experience on that offensive line.
The point after by Tom Dixon is good. And so with 11:33 left to play in the second quarter, the Edmonton Eskimos have taken the lead 21-19 over the Toronto Argonauts.
Cushion, and his place has been taken by Dan Rasevich.
Well, these teams are playing true to form. The Argos have given up the most points in the CFL coming into this week. Edmonton the second most. Already we've had 40 points scored in this ball game, and we've only played 3 minutes and a little bit of this second quarter. Thad Jemison had to hit him on the foot, so he's got to take it now. And Jemison gets to about the 12-yard line. What he wanted to do was allow the ball to bounce in the end zone and then give up the single point, but there is a penalty marker on the field in any event.
You know, it's funny, Pat, we have microphones down at field level, and every once in a while you can pick up some of the things that the players are saying, and you could hear Jeff Townsend saying, let it go, let it go. And by the time Jemison realized what he wanted to do, it hit his foot, and so he had to make a play on the football. Terry?
But it will not hurt the Argos because the penalty is against the Eskimos, offside.
Oh, that's a big break.
Last week, the Toronto Argonauts were the subject of great booing from the fans, especially the coach, because with a rookie quarterback Cassell, Obilovich had them every time the ball was kicked into the end zone, taking or giving the single point and trying to get the better field position rather than only getting to the 5 or the 10. The fans were extremely unhappy with it as they gave away 5 or 6 points that way. This time, though, he feels a little more experience for Cassell, a different football club. He is not playing it that way, or at least not thus far.
Well, I thought he wanted to on that occasion, Bill, but unfortunately,
well, you might be right, Pat.
Jemison had it bounce off his foot. Dixon kicks this one, and it'll go out of bounds, so there'll be another 5-yard penalty. No point in the Argos taking it at the 27-yard line. Make him kick off again back at the 35 this time.
Now, you're a kicker, Leaf. Dixon.
I was a kicker.
Well, all right. You kick a fair amount now, too.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Groans.
By the way, the poll, should the CFL team rosters increase the number of Canadians? Yes. Phone 1-900-720-3720. No, 1-900-720-4720. There's a service charge of 50 cents. What I was going to say, however, about kicking is Dixon feels that his kicking ability has come about because he first started playing rugby in Vancouver. It's a bigger, fatter football. So the transition from rugby to Canadian football, he says, helped me tremendously in becoming a Canadian Football League punter and field goal kicker.
Well, he really gets his leg into this one. This is Kerry Taylor from his 15. Excuse me, that's Jemison, not Taylor. Jemison got out to the 38-yard line, and that's where the Argos will take over offensively.
Well, Mark Cassell just had something awful happen to him on the last series with that interception to Stuart Hill. He's got to gather himself and try and get that confidence back, not only within himself, but within the receivers, and try and spread that football around, and a couple of short passes maybe once again, and try and reestablish that momentum that they've lost.
Well, Cassell is from Montclair State. It's not a football powerhouse, but he set all the passing records at that school. Boy, had a lot of time on that occasion. Now he's flushed out of there. Fires, and a good catch by Terry Greer for what appears to be a first down up around the 49-yard line.
The thing we haven't pointed out and has to be pointed out is the big blow for the Argonauts, and the reason a club that was rated as #1 in this league and has won first place the last 3 years is that they lost a quarterback named Conrad Holloway, who had a 70.6 passing percentage, which is just tremendous, before injuring that knee.
First down, Argos. Cassell this time in a lot of trouble. Pops the ball up, but they rule an incompleted pass. Ooh, that is a big break for the Argos. Stuart Hill and John Mandridge had him well back of the line of scrimmage, but they rule that he was trying to throw the football to Bob Bronk, and so it just goes as an incomplete forward pass.
That's a good call. Arm was definitely coming through. Good pressure, though, from that Edmonton front three plus Stuart Hill. Well, he comes every time as a linebacker. You'll see him blitz on almost every play.
2nd and 10, Argos at their own 49. Looking for Thad Jemison on the sideline, but the pass was well out of bounds. Jeff Treflin was in there as the defensive back covering on the play. And this will be Hank Olisic's first punt of the ball game, and it comes with 10 minutes left to play in this second quarter.
Argos seemed to have deviated from their initial game plan, where in the first quarter they were hitting those 7-8 yard passes on first down to try and get some good yardage initially. Now Casal content to drop back in that pocket and look a little farther downfield. I'm not sure he shouldn't go back to the original plan.
Chris Wood showing a lot of respect, is back at his 5-yard line. This one bounces at the 23 to Woods, who takes it at the 15. And he's forced out of bounds as he gets to the 25 by Dennis Clay. So the Edmonton Eskimos have really fought back here. They were trailing at one point 19-7. Now they lead it 21-19 with 9 minutes and 43 seconds left to play in this second quarter in what has really been an entertaining football game. Eskimos have scored all the points here in the second quarter. And Edmonton starts at their 25-yard line with a first down. Dunnigan could not find anybody open, and by the time he brought it down, he was sacked by James Curry, number 74, for a loss of a couple of yards. Second sack of the ball game for that Toronto Argonaut defense. And the second one by James Curry.
Yeah, they're getting some good pressure from that front four. I like that defense. 4 good pass rushers and those 3 linebackers behind them. I'm I guess a traditionalist, and I think you can get some much better pressure with that 4 down lineman.
And we're talking about Walter Ballard, James Curry, Mark Seal, and Rod Harding. That's the front 4 for Toronto. Dunnigan's pass was batted down by Rod Harding, number 77. Also a penalty marker holding against the Eskimos. It'll be declined by the Argos, and Edmonton will be punting.
Holding. Edmonton number 59. Declined. Third down.
Leo Blanchard, the right guard, called for holding. There you see him right at the middle of your picture.
Hey, that's a good move by Rodney Harding. If you can't get the sack, get the big mid up there, and something good might happen. In that case, you knock the ball down.
So Tom Dixon will be punting. Standing inside his 10-yard line. Carinci and Kerry Taylor, 27 and 20, back to return it for Toronto, who should end up with excellent field position. Good punt, though. Angles it toward the sideline. Now, where did it go out of bounds? Somewhere around the 45-yard line.
It's a great job by Tom Dixon. Got full length on that punt and no return.
Edmonton 21, Toronto 19. The Argos will have the ball when we come back.
When you're out there, call.
I said, you like coaching? He said, well, I like it, but it's not as much fun as playing. Maybe because his handicap in golf now is 12 instead of about 3 or 4.
But you're right. What a football player he was. The football player of the quarter century. He was selected as Mark Casal is pushed out of bounds by Stuart Hill. The booing that you heard was directed toward a police officer who was throwing some youngster out of the end zone. There it is again. The pickup by Casal was about 7 yards as he got it out to the 51-yard line. So it brings up a 2nd and 3, Toronto. The Argos trailing it by 2 points. Mark Casal came into this ball game with a 61% completion record. He'd thrown 4 touchdown passes. This is Kerry Taylor. And Taylor cut it back nicely to pick up the first down as he crosses midfield into Edmonton territory at the 53. James Bell, number 17, was there to bring him down. And, you know, when you talk about that Edmonton secondary, they're very inexperienced as well. Speaking with defensive secondary coach Don Southern, he was saying they don't have a lot of experience, but boy, are they intense, and do they love to play the game and pop people.
Well, they're the kind of coachable players you want to have that. And Don Southern's a good one to coach them.
Jemison did not hang on. Jeff Treflin was there on the coverage.
It appears we'll get a new quarterback when the Eskimos get the ball next time. Dunnigan was shaken up, and the doctor is still working with him. We've not had a report yet, but Allen is getting ready to go, and he is starting to warm up the arm, and he's talking to the coaches. So it'll obviously be number 9, Allen, who will take over at quarterback.
Damon Allen, who really has unbelievable university stats. Well, the big guy, Mark Cassell, did a pretty good job of tiptoeing through the defensive line that was on rushing there. He doesn't pick up the first down, but he wasn't sacked either. And there's a look at Damon Allen. I think it runs pretty well in the family, doesn't it, this football stuff?
Sure does. His older brother Marcus, of course, with the Los Angeles Raiders, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, but Pat talked about his university statistics at Cal State Fullerton. And in his senior year, a 53% passer, but was really impressive was only 3 interceptions and 20 touchdown passes. So you know he can direct an offense with some efficiency.
Hank Olisic's punt will bounce out of bounds at about the 18-yard line, and that's where Damon Allen will have to come on and direct that Edmonton offense.
Well, the latest story that we have on Dunnigan is that he has been shaken up a bit. As you can see, they're going to put an ice pack just around the neck on him, and Dr. Peter Boucher tells me that he won't be back in this half, but he says I think he should be able to return in the second half. We'll just wait and see how he comes along.
Well, this is a tough spot for Damon Allen, but it's also a real opportunity for him to show the coaching staff that he can play in this league. And his first pass is complete to Cowan, who picks up the first down as he dives through to the 30-yard line. Dennis Clay brought him down, but a good job by Larry Cowan to pick up 12 yards.
Well, he threw a couple of touchdown passes in last year's Senior Bowl, and that's a very prestigious postseason all-star game in the United States. A lot of top college football players who would be drafted played in that game, and as you could see on his first delivery, nice tight spiral.
So the Eskimos have possession now at their 30-yard line. Allen fires. It's complete to Rick House, and House will have another first down to the 45-yard line.
Yeah, that's some kind of throw right there. Rick House running an excellent pattern in that zone coverage. A hook worked between the linebackers, and Damon Allen read it perfectly. Watch how he drills that ball in there. That's a great throw.
So back-to-back first downs for the Eskimos. Compliments of the passing of Damon Allen. They have possession now at their own 45 with a first down. This one was right on the money, too, except that the money happened to be in Dennis Clay's wallet, and he very nearly picked it off, looking for Rick House once again.
Now, the things a young quarterback's going to be frustrated with. Dennis Clay actually right on the hip of Rick House. Perfect defensive position. Steps in front and really should have had the interception.
But, you know, you have to admire the Edmonton Eskimo organization. They're like the BC Lions. They're solid at every position. Somebody goes down, somebody else comes in, you know, who can really do the job.
They plan ahead.
So it is 2nd and 10, Edmonton, from their 45. And this one is picked off by Darrell Wilson, his second interception of the ball game. The ball came free once again, but they ruled he was down right at midfield. 3 interceptions for that Toronto Argonauts secondary, 2 by Darrell Wilson, 1 by Carl Brazeley.
Now, really back-to-back plays show the inexperience of Damon Allen. A ball that should not been thrown. He had really no open receiver, should have eaten the football, and just the worst would have to do is punt, but nevertheless, he let it fly, and Darrell Wilson comes up with a big play.
And so with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to play in this first half, Argos trailing by 2. They take over right at midfield. The middle screen for Kerry Taylor, but it was read very well by the Edmonton Eskimos, and they contain it to just a 2 or 3 yard gain. And we've got an injured Toronto Argonaut down on the field. I believe it's the center, Ian Beckstead. It is.
Well, that Stuart Hill is some kind of football player. Last year's Western nominee as Shenley Outstanding Rookie in the Canadian Football League, and he just read that screenplay so quickly, coming initially on his pass rush, but he came off the block and made a great play to stop Kerry Taylor from going any further.
Tom Trefo will come onto the field now with Ian Beckstead down. Tony Antunovic will move to center from his right guard spot. And Trefo will move to the guard position.
Pat, you talked about Edmonton, how they really plan ahead with their player personnel. And, you know, they had Ken Hobart, of course, in training camp this year, but saw the talent of a young Damon Allen and, of course, let Hobart go. They traded him to Hamilton. As it's turned out, Hobart has turned into a pretty good quarterback with that big win they had last week over the Montreal Concords. But they do have quality people that sure come in and out of Edmonton. Let's have a look and see if we can pick up. There you see Kerry Taylor just scoring right on the knee of Ian Beckstead. He got that leg trapped underneath Kerry Taylor.
The pickup on the play was about 2.5 yards, so the Argos are now in Edmonton territory at the 53-yard line.
Pat, if Cassell continues to have problems moving this club, there's no question that Hohensee, his backup, will come in. Well, Bilovich said that last week he rather hesitated to bring Hohensee in. He wanted to leave Cassell in as long as he could and keep him under fire, at least give him the experience, although BC is a tough club to get your experience again. What he said before this game, he said, if Cassell is unable to move it, Hohensee will go in, and he said, and I've got confidence in him.
Well, Cassell has actually done a pretty good job with the exception of that one pass that he threw right into Stuart Hill's arms down around the Toronto 15. But next Friday night we'll be in Montreal, and that should be a big game for both the Toronto Argonauts and the Montreal Concords, because there isn't likely to be too many points separating them at that point as they battle for first place in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about that game for a few weeks. We've been looking forward to it. Next Friday night.
So on second, and let's call it 7 yards to go, Cassell is going to put it up, or is he? There's a flag down. Cassell has the first down as he gets to the Edmonton 41-yard line, but the penalty is going to wipe out that play. They'll bring it back. Tom Tuanay was there to bring him down.
Yeah, Mark Cassell showing some mobility as he scrambles out of that pocket. A good rushing effort. Nevertheless, it will be brought back on that holding call.
There's no question the biggest thing as far as the Edmonton. I'm just saying the biggest thing as far as Edmonton's concerned, the one loss has been Joe Holloman, that veteran corner. Don Southern, who's in charge of those defensive backs, he says he was my babysitter, 10 years experience, and all the other guys a year or less. And so it's tough when you lose your babysitter.
Incidentally, Kelvin Prunster, the left offensive tackle, was called for holding, and now Cassell drops the football, and the Eskimos have recovered it. Dan Kearns, number 95, comes up with the fumble recovery. Stuart Hill stripped the ball. Kearns was there to fall on it.
Well, Stuart Hill's one of those kind of guys that can make things happen on defense, and made a great play on a screen a few plays ago, and that time stripped the ball loose. And once again, the Edmonton Eskimos have excellent field position after that turnover.
And they've got lots of time to go here in this second quarter to capitalize on it. 3 minutes, 15 seconds left to play in the first half. The offensive and defensive game stars will be selected by our broadcast crew, and we'll tell you who they are at the conclusion of the ball game. Rick House on that little counter play doesn't get very much, if anything. So we've got 3 minutes left to play in this first half of a very entertaining ball game. The Eskimos are out in front of the Argos, 21-19. The temperature at kickoff time was 31 degrees Celsius, and I guess that's about 86 or something.
It's tough to tell, and I've never figured that Celsius out yet.
Second down, about 10 yards to go. Allen looks and throws incomplete, looking for Rick House, but Bo Metcalf was with him all the way. Metcalf sounds familiar. Bo Metcalf is a nephew of former Toronto Argonaut and St. Louis Cardinal star Terry Metcalf.
This will be a good test for Tom Dixon right here. He's going to be spotted at the 47-yard line.
I have been told and have no knowledge other than what I've been informed that Dixon is very accurate from 40 yards in. Let's see what he does now from the 47.
Get out of there. No way, no way.
It hits the upright. Boy, he certainly had all kinds of distance. but it hit the upright. There will be no point, and the Argos will take over at the 25. Bill, what's the status of Ian Beckstead, the Argos center?
He hurt his knee. At first they thought it was twisted, but now Dr. Jackson says it is a bruise, and so he'll be able to go back into the game at center.
But at this moment, of course, he will sit out as the Argos begin from their 25. Tony Antunovic, number 54, will replace Beckstead. And Tom Trefo is in at right guard in place of Antunovic. On the draw, this is Bob Bronk. He drops the football, but it's picked up very alertly by Dan Ferroni.
Almost looked like a handoff. Dan Ferroni, he knew what to do with the football when he got a hold of it. Let's have a look here. Open a good hole with Tony Antunovic on the left side for Bob Bronk to run through. He just simply drops the football. Dan Ferroni ever alert to pick it up.
Ferroni will want that play in the playbook now. Looked like he loved carrying it. Pickup was 8 yards at 2nd and 2. Flag comes down as the toss goes to Kerry Taylor. And we've probably got a procedure penalty against the Toronto Argonauts, and it looked like Jan Karinci left a little early.
Just trying to get a jump on things. He had to block the outside linebacker to make that play work, and Jan Karinci a little overeager. It's going to cost Toronto 5 yards. Cost them a first down as well.
Offside, Toronto number 27.
And wearing number 27 is Jan Karinci. So with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left to play in this second quarter, the Argos now have 2nd and 7 yards to go for the first down. Ball is back inside their 28-yard line. And this is Mike Hohensee at quarterback. His pass was complete, but well short of the first down, as Laurent Delorier was over there very quickly to put the grab on Paul Pearson. Hohensee has played in the USFL from the University of Minnesota and played some last week against the British Columbia Lions. So Hank Olisic will be punting on 3rd and about 5 yards to go, with Chris Woods, the lone back there for the Eskimos.
Game's kind of slowed down the last 10 minutes or so. Both defenses taking charge here, and it's turned into a putting battle between Hank Olisic and Tom Dixon.
And he gets a beauty away. Woods takes it at his 28. Gets up over the 40 to about the 42-yard line. Well, we had 40 points scored very early, and we still have 40 points with 1:33 left to play in this second quarter. The CFL this week, the Pacific Western Airlines CFL Stars of the week. And Leaf and I will have the highlights for you. All of that upcoming at halftime. Really looking forward to going out to Calgary, hoping that the Stampeders can get their club turned around before too much longer. Those of you out in Calgary on Sunday, get out there and take a look at the Montreal Concords, because boy, are they improved.
I hope it warms up.
Yeah, apparently it's been fairly chilly. Allen really airs this one out to Chris Woods. Bo Metcalf had perfect coverage on him and very nearly made the interception.
He's in great position there. Bo Metcalf could have had the interception, as Pat told you, but can't play that any better than that. But I think Damon Allen's thinking on that play, well, to get an interception, it's as good as a punt, because I've aired that thing out about as far as I can throw it.
That's some arm he's got, isn't it?
Oh, he's got a strong gun there.
As Leaf pointed out at Cal State Fullerton, he set 8 individual school marks last year, and he's the man that they attribute for turning that football program around. We're talking about Damon Allen, number 9, the quarterback, in place of Matt Dunnigan, who is injured. Dumps it over the middle to Nelson Jones. He loses the football, but the Eskimos get it back right at the 45-yard line.
For Edmonton fans that may have joined us late, Matt got a bit of a hit on the side of the head, and he's just got an ice pack on the back of the head now. He's going to be fine, and the likelihood is he'll come back in the second half if they need him.
Let's have a look again, and sorry, Pat, Milson Jones catch the ball over the middle. stripped loose by number 39, Bill Mitchell, and they're very fortunate that number 50, Blake Dermott, was able to recover that.
So Tom Dixon is in to punt once again for the Eskimos. Carinci and Taylor are back awaiting at the Toronto 20. As you can see, he's had a pretty good night punting, averaging 44 yards a boot. This is Carinci at the 20. Trying to get to the outside and then has to cut it back up. Think he's got a little determination. Gets it out over the 30 to about the 33-yard line. He was down when he surrendered the ball, and they rule that Toronto will have possession at that point.
Oh, he just does a heck of a job. He's a guy that's got fierce determination, cuts it upfield, and he just doesn't want to go down. Sometimes discretion the better part of valor. He's going to take a heck of a shot from Neil Lumsden right there, but he gets Toronto in pretty good field position.
They call players of his ilk gamers, and there's no question about it. Jan Carinci will give you everything he's got in every game that he plays. The flag comes down as Hohensy's pass goes incomplete. Holding Toronto.
Dan Ferroni certainly pleading his case right there that
I don't like his chances of
no,
winning.
I don't like them
Holding.
either.
Toronto 69, declined, second down.
Says I have to. I got a bad hamstring.
Mark Cassell was yanked out of the ball game after he had completed 11 of 16 for 125 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 very costly interception. But then again, Matt Dunnigan had a costly interception too that was returned for a touchdown by Carl Brazeley. Hohensee was grabbed. He was going to try the quarterback draw, but Dan Kearns was there to put the grab on him immediately.
Would have been a great call had he got a little seam to run through, but Dan Kearns got the big bit out there and stopped him.
Eskimos want to get a timeout. They're signaling frantically from the bench.
And they do get it because referee Ross Perrier has just indicated it is Edmonton timeout with 43 seconds left. So they're going to get the football back, and depending upon the return by Chris Woods, they might be in a position to put some more points on the board as Damon Allen talks things over with Kelly. Brian Kelly has been fairly quiet here tonight. Let's just take a look. He's only caught 1 pass for 17 yards. And is that a little bit unusual? Because coming into the game, Brian had 24 receptions, 3 touchdowns for 414 yards.
How about this for a lineup tomorrow?
The AMA National Motorcycle Championships, the Dream Mile. You want to talk about people that you want to watch run a foot race over a mile course? Well, how does this sound? Steve Cram of Great Britain, Steve Scott of the USA, and Sebastian Coe. And the rest of the lineup that you will see tomorrow on Wide World of Sports here on CTV. The clock will not start until the snap of the ball. 43 seconds left to play in the half. Chris Woods allows it to bounce at the 40, takes it at the 35, and has absolutely no place to go. But the Eskimos have possession with 32 seconds left to play in the half. Mike Hohensee is talking things over with Conrad Holloway, saying, I don't know if I like this league or not. Yeah. Well, our director, Ed Murcell, suggests maybe they're talking about the mile run. Before this night is over, I suspect if Mike Hohensee is the quarterback, he's going to be running about a mile. Because the Eskimos appear to really be coming on. Allen swings it out to his running back, Larry Cowan. And Cowan doesn't quite make it back to the line of scrimmage before Dennis Clay is there to bring him down.
Boy, Dennis Clay's had himself an excellent first half. A couple of knockdowns, and that time just a great open field tackle on a slippery back like Larry Cowan.
Cowan actually ends up losing yards, so it's 2nd and 11. And the clock is moving now with just 15 seconds left to play in this first half. It started out at an unbelievable pace. Both teams moving up and down the field, and early in the second quarter there had been 40 points scored. Since then, nothing. Now the Argos decide that maybe they should call a timeout. For what reason, I don't know, because there's only 3 seconds left to play.
Well, I know why they're going to call a timeout, because the clock will not start until the ball is snapped, and that means they technically maybe force Edmonton to punt the ball instead of letting it run down, the quarterback just downing it.
Well, that's a good observation, because obviously that's what they're... Of course, with 3 seconds to go.
Well, quarterback could still take it from center and run around, but at least what this does is make Jackie Parker make a decision.
Allen is over on the sideline right now talking it over with Jackie Parker.
Yeah, I suspect he could run around for 3 seconds back there.
They could have a direct snap to either the quarterback or the punter or whatever they wanted. It's a 21-19 ball game in favor of the Eskimos. Bob Obilovich was pleased at one point because his Argonauts led at 19-7. But the Eskimos have scored all the points here in the second quarter, 14 of them, and now they lead it by 2 points. So Allen just stands there, and that's the end of the first half. It's the Edmonton Eskimos 21, the Toronto Argonauts 19, in a game that's extremely important to both teams. Eskimos trying to move into sole possession of second spot in the Western Conference standings. They are currently deadlocked with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the Argos are trying to move into a tie for first with the Montreal Concords. Bill?
Well, here's a man who was all everything in his rookie year. He was CFL All-Pro. He was Western All-Star. He was Shenley Rookie in the West. And you've started off great this year as well, Stuart. And you're having a bang-up first half. You've not only made an interception, but you have caused a couple of fumbles.
Well, we knew that Condridge is gone, but Mark Kinsella is an excellent athlete, so we wanted to try and get a lot of pressure on him. I think we've been doing that. If we can keep him off balance, we should have a good hope of winning.
Tell me, Stuart, how are you making your big plays? Do you read the offense, or are you gambling? How do you do it?
Well, it all started last week. We've been studying film for about 5 hours a day, so we pretty much knew what to expect coming in. We just really had to execute.
So you're just executing and anticipating along the way.
Well, we're working hard, and we know if we can get out of here with a win, we've got a bye coming up next weekend, and we'll be able to heal some injuries that we have on our team, and we should be in pretty good shape.
You must be very pleased with the way the defense, and especially yourself, has played in this first half.
Well, yeah, in the first half, but there's still another half to go, so we just have to keep working hard.
And how do you feel about your first few games of this season, Stuart?
Well, they're not too bad. I'd like to see us with a 5-0 record right now, but that's not to be, so we just have to keep working hard. Hopefully things will work out for us.
You know, Stu, you showed in your game against BC that they, despite the fact they're 5-0, are going to have a tough time the next time they meet you.
Well, we look forward to playing them again. We thought we could have played a little better against them in BC, but that game is over with, and now we just have to concentrate on Toronto.
Well, congratulations on a great rookie year and a fine start in the second season. Good luck in the rest of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart Hill. Fine performance. And so, the score is Edmonton 21, Toronto 19, and this is CTV's Friday Night Football.